Welcome to the third day of Ignite. We're so glad to have you join us. We've got a great session for you. Scott is going to come up and show you some demos for all the great new things happening in Windows 365 and Intune. And then we're going to invite 3 customers, HP, Johnson & Johnson, and Wells Fargo, to come up here and share with you their experience migrating to the cloud. Let's get started. When Satya started his keynote on Tuesday morning, he talked about how here in Chicago at Comdex some 30 years ago, we introduced Windows 3.1, the first operating system oriented around the graphical user interfaces, this new generation of personal computing. Well, fun fact, my dad was here at that very Comdex doing this very thing, talking with customers about how they could advance their goals with Windows and help their employees be more productive. So Windows truly is a generational product. And we've continued to innovate year over year, from the internet era with Windows 95 to the Windows 11 we love today. This is the most secure and productive operating system we've ever built. And it's the canvas for the next generation of personal computing, powered by AI and the cloud, designed to serve billions of people around the world in all kinds of different industries and organizations. The future of Windows is AI and cloud, powered by new Copilot PCs and Windows 365, and all managed securely and simply in Intune. Now, Scott's going to demonstrate some great new capabilities that are going to help you deploy in record time, manage efficiently, and most importantly, stay secure and resilient, so everyone can do their best work on Windows. We are so grateful to be the operating system and personal computing system for so many organizations around the world, from hospitals to governments to retail and banking to all the goods and services we use every day. Our customers inspire us. In fact, everything we show you today is built for you, based on your feedback, designed to meet your needs and your high standards. Windows is powered by AI and scaled to the cloud, which means that there is now a Windows endpoint for every job in every organization. For information workers, we offer powerful Copilot PCs that are oriented around productivity so they can focus on the work that they love and leave the busy work to the side. We will also bring Copilot Plus features to the cloud, things like semantic search, so you can search across your local PC, your M365 applications, and your cloud PC. And we scale Windows across all devices with Windows 365. You can use the Windows app today to get to iOS, macOS, and Windows PCs with one button click to take you to your Windows in the cloud, and coming soon on Android as well. And we're developing new purpose-built endpoints like the Windows 365 link we announced earlier this week. But we're not stopping there. Windows is all about the ecosystem, so we will continue to innovate with our partners and scale to new endpoints with our OEMs starting in 2025. Because we're all about the ecosystem, we also think deeply about how we can empower AI applications. Windows Copilot Runtime is the platform for building AI apps, so developers, ISVs, and so many other partners can join us in this future of AI. And we will continue to push the envelope, bringing Windows cloud experiences to new endpoints like mixed reality to empower developers, creators, and designers. Really a Windows experience for every person, no matter what they do. Now, I mentioned mixed reality is one of our newest applications for Windows. This allows a full Windows 11 experience on your Meta Quest 3 and Quest OS. This gives you access to your local Windows PC or your cloud PC from a Quest headset. It's seamless, super fast access, and gives you beautiful mixed reality environments on which to create and explore. This will be available in public preview next month. Let's take a look. Pretty cool, huh? Now, I know everyone in this room is moving to Windows 11, right? We're done? We're not done? That's okay. You've got another year. And what's important is that we give you choices for how to get to Windows 11, and we're making it easier than ever to get there. So first, upgrade your eligible PCs. We've made this easier than ever by using auto-patch in Intune so you can design and schedule your rollout. Second, you can purchase new Windows 11 PCs like the powerful Copilot PCs you can see here in the hub today. And we've made that even easier. You can deploy those PCs using autopilot, super streamlined for both IT and end users. And we make the setup of those even easier by bringing Windows Backup to Entra ID users so that it's very, very easy for your employees to move to a new PC. All their settings and their preferences are right there, ready for them so they can be productive from day one and reduce help desk calls. And remember that new Windows 11 PCs are your most secure PCs. They have secured core and security features on by default. Now, your third choice for moving to Windows 11 is to do so in the cloud. You can, of course, use Windows 365 with Windows 11 today, and we've got your back with extended security updates. If you are a Windows 365 subscriber, we offer these to you for free. So you don't have to wait to move to Windows 11. You can do so in the cloud, and we will secure the underlying hardware for you. This is a great choice if you need a little bit more time, if you're trying to extend the life of your PCs, or you're looking for a sustainable choice. But the most important thing to remember is that from the cloud to the edge, we offer you options so that everyone can do their best work in Windows. The future of Windows begins with you, because Windows is built for you. So you can continue to be successful with Windows now and in the future. And hey, maybe it will be one of your kids standing up here in a couple of years talking about what the next generation of Windows could be. We're here to support you by empowering everyone across your organization to achieve more. And we do mean everyone, because Windows 11 is also the most accessible operating system ever built. So if you're not convinced yet, let me give you just one more reason.
What really motivated me and what I want to do near this end of my career is to make sure there's going to be many others after me and along me that get the life that I've had. I'm Dave Dame, Senior Director of Product Accessibility at Microsoft. When I was born, the doctors told my parents Dave may not live past 12. And even if he does, don't expect much, because there's not much in this world that David can do with cerebral palsy. My dad walked down the stairs and said, David, let's be honest, you're not going to be a fireman, police officer, or a construction worker. But you know what else you're not going to be? Living under this roof for free the rest of your life. When I got my first job, right, I was super excited. I went to roll to go in the bathroom, and my wheelchair couldn't fit. When you're not conditioned to ask for what you need, you add an extra layer of stress In addition to doing the job, I realized I could keep doing what I'm doing, or I can maybe go to a place like Microsoft and build assistive technology so there'd be more people like me in the boardrooms I was in. At Microsoft, we want to empower everyone on the planet to achieve more. Voice access, wake up. It would usually take me 14 minutes to do an email. Draft an email about the annual fundraising campaign. And now with Windows and the 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗸𝗸𝗫. It makes it possible for people with disabilities, but it gives everyone else options and freedoms because we're using the natural things we do as humans to be more productive and be more efficient, which then results into getting the most out of the collective. Generative AI can do the work that isn't the creative or the complex. You're getting that time, that precious time to think, to create, to design, to be able to reinvent something new instead of just iterating on what has been.
All right, this looks great, Dave. Thank you.
No, thank you. Bye-bye. When you design for accessibility, it is innovation. Design for one and extend to many.
Pretty powerful message. That's the first time I've seen that video. Dave is actually a friend of mine and a mentor of mine, so pretty powerful to see that message. Tough to follow that, but allow me to do my best. So I'm excited here today, as I mentioned, to give you some of the demos, or I should say Melissa mentioned earlier. She did a great job teeing things up. We've got a lot of exciting announcements that's happened over the last few days. In fact, it was on this stage, I think, about 5 years ago and change that we announced the upcoming release of Azure Virtual Desktop, our first product in this Windows Cloud category. It's been a very, very wildly successful product for us. It's one of our fastest growing Azure services. To see all the partners out here that are extending the value of this product and to hear from all our customers that have been using it. This product went live in September of 2019. We know what happened just a few short months after that, right? COVID hit, and this technology was one of the technologies that many of our customers embraced to allow hybrid work. And we weren't done. A few years later, we took a step back and said, let's really think if we were to develop a virtualization technology today, what would that look like? Would we have a different method and tools, workflows, and processes for managing my virtual estate that's different from the way I'm managing my physical estate? Or would we unify that management? Would we simplify it, both in terms of an IT admin's workload, to be able to manage the virtualization estate the same way they do their physical estate, but also for end users? How can we bring back the personal to cloud computing and ensure that end users could just lean into this experience without any specialized training? We've done an amazing job with both of these products and super excited for all the momentum that we've built up, all the customer interest in this, and all the exciting innovation that we've been able to announce over the last few days. This is just the beginning of a very long journey. But as with any technology, it's first and foremost important that you think about the security posture. And it's one of the fundamental reasons people turn to virtualization is to leverage the security that it provides by separating your corporate data and access from the physical devices. And we've built our Windows Cloud products around our premier security foundation. We start with our Zero Trust Foundation at the beginning of this. We always verify explicitly. We always assume breach. And we ensure that we provide only the minimum privileges necessary to allow the users access to the resources. Moving up into the platform bit, our platform is designed with security in mind. It's locked down by default. And our security platform supports all the standard national and international security compliance standards, both internal and external. Things like SOC 2, HIPAA, GDPR, FedRAMP, PCI, you name it. All those compliance standards are adhered to with our platform. Getting up into the upper layers of security, we want to protect identity. I'm going to show you some exciting demos here of how we continue to innovate in this space, providing phish-resistant and breach-resistant authentication with granular controls for conditional access policies and even more granular controls on the authentication, re-authentication. We can secure your devices, both by Intune enrolling them and have those managed desktops being, or managed devices inside of Intune, giving them secure access to our environments, but also excited to announce that we now support mobile application management. This is a very important technology that unlocks BYOD. Users can bring their own personal devices, and you can do attestation to make sure those devices meet your compliance requirements before allowing them access into your environment. I'm going to give you a demo of that. This is my personal iPad here that I've brought with me, and I'm going to show you a demo of how that actually unfolds. So, I started my journey in the IT space almost 40 years ago. I know I don't look near that old, do I? And I can tell you that the things that were important to me back then are the same things that we're hearing from customers today. Easier manageability. The bigger your footprint is of the estate that you're managing, the more opportunity there is for human error, outside attack, inside attack, and overall just a lot more overhead in managing your environment. And then you have to think about business continuity. How many of you out here are IT admins? Hold your hand up if you consider yourself part of the IT department in your organization. Well, that's a pretty good percentage of you there. So these things are fundamental, right? And we all know how important it is for business continuity. As we sit here today, our colleagues in Seattle, over 1 million people are without power. It's just a great example of a natural disaster that you can't necessarily be prepared for, but you can be thinking about what are your restore time objectives, what are your restore point objectives, and how do you respond when these type of incidents happen? It wasn't that long ago that we saw the hurricanes on the East Coast. It wasn't that long ago that many of us got hit with the CrowdStrike issue. How did you respond to those things? I can tell you how our customers using our Windows Cloud products responded. They leveraged the BCDR capabilities built into our services and we got back up and running in minutes. You have to also think about elasticity. You know, for those of you that have been in the IT space as long as I have, elasticity meant opening up a box and stuffing in more RAM or putting in a bigger hard drive. With the introduction of the public cloud and some of the great innovation that we've built, elasticity takes on a whole new meaning. And then, of course, end user experience. And in my mind, as I was putting these boxes here, I wish I would have put it up in front because it's often the thing that we think about last, right? But if you think about it, that end user experience is really what is driving the business, right? The users that are actually being productive and using the tools that you provided to them and how important that is to ensure that they can be successful. So I want to lean into each of these 4 categories and talk a little bit about how our Windows Cloud products enhance these things. When we talk about manageability, kind of reflect back to that, reimagining virtualization with Cloud PC and bringing together the management of your virtualization estate and your physical estate into a single unified portal. It seems like an obvious decision now to do all this inside of Intune, but when we were starting from scratch with just this blank slate, there was a lot of options that we considered, and it was one of the best decisions we've ever made. Intune has become the de facto standard for endpoint management, and it just seems so natural now that Windows 365 management is done inside of that same portal. We think about business continuity. I mentioned our customers that were hit by CrowdStrike that were using Cloud PCs, for instance. When you provision a Cloud PC, we immediately start taking backups of it. We take 10 backups that you have a dial between 4 and 24 hours, and you can have different settings for different people depending on your restore point objective. How much data are you willing to lose? We take those 10 backups that you can adjust the dial for, then we have 4 hard-coded backups that are 1 week, 2 week, 3 week rolling backups. And when CrowdStrike hit our customers, they simply just rolled back. I'm going to show you how admins can roll back and how you can also democratize IT and give your end users the ability to do those restores as well. Now, elasticity. Obviously, with the introduction of the cloud, elasticity takes on a whole new meaning. This was something really critical when we were thinking about what a Cloud PC product would look like. Knowing that our customers are dealing with more and more situations where you have an influx of employees coming and going, whether it's through M&A activity, seasonal employees that come and go, interns that come and go. So you need that elasticity in the number of instances of Cloud PCs. But then we know that, Moore's Law and all these, the realities of the evolving needs of any individual user, right? They're going to need more compute. So we built all that elasticity into the tool. If I want to upgrade someone's machine and add twice the memory, twice the storage, twice the cores, I simply click a button, they log off, lag back in. Everything's the same, except they got all that new capacity. That's the power of the cloud, and that's the power of a Cloud PC, is providing that elasticity. And then end user experience, again, last but not least, is super critical. Both the experience for admins, that's super important, right? Make them efficient at they're doing their job, but also to ensure that end users have an experience that they want to lean into, right? We often just thrust technology on our users. The people that drive the engine of our business, we just throw things at them, right? Well, you want to build technologies that ensure that allows them to be productive, allows them to be able to self-remediate problems. Everybody knows what to do when your laptop gets locked up, right? What do? Your laptop's in a bad state. Your parents, your friends, everybody who you support in your community, they know how to get that machine back to a known good state, holding your finger on the power button. And you likely never even hear from them when they self-resolve those problems. You put a user into a traditional VDI environment, what happens when they get in a bad state? Only thing they can do is they pick up the phone and call support. That costs overhead. That takes your time away. That takes your time away from doing the things that you're doing right here, right now, is learning about emerging technologies. If you're in the IT department and you have to fix every single problem that arises for an end user, you're just simply doing break-fix work, and you're spending all of your time looking out the rearview mirror at technology you've already deployed and not thinking about emerging technologies and truly turning your IT department from a cost center to a profit center. You think about it. If your job is simply looking out the rearview mirror of technology you've already implemented, you're just a cost center. If you're here, like you're doing right now, investing and learning about emerging technologies and pulling these technologies to make employees more productive, more secure, you're increasing the profitability of your business and you're turning your IT department into a profit center. Much more pleasant place to be. So with that, let's take a look at some of these technologies here now. All right, let's switch to this machine here. Oops, this machine. All right. So live demos, always risky business, right? So what I have here is I'm in the Intune portal, and I have navigated myself to the Windows 365 tab. And this is our overview page. And right from here, I can see if there's anything going on with my environment. Now, this is my test environment. I have about 12 cloud PCs deployed, and friends and family occasionally log in here just to help exercise this. And I'm going to go quickly down to reports here, and I'm going to take a look at some more detailed reports about my cloud PC environment. So here we've aggregated all of our reports together now in the cloud PC overview page. And right from here, I can see some really interesting statistics about my environment. Under the PC utilization, you can see that I've got 9 machines with almost no usage over the last 28 days. Time to kick my tenants or the users in my tenant to get them to use their cloud PCs. 3 that have low usage. And if I go down here under cloud PC recommendation, after at least 14 days of usage, I'll tell you whether those cloud PCs are undersized, oversized, right-sized, or underutilized. And you can take actions. You can resize those machines. You can take licenses back when people aren't using them and assign them to other people. And you can even buy step-up licenses and simply resize those machines to meet the needs of your users. The one I want to drill into specifically here is one of our net new features, which is our cross-region disaster recovery. Now, I mentioned earlier, we take 14 backups. By default, we provision those backups into the region that your cloud PCs sit in. We now have the option as an additional add-on to be able to do backups into 2 regions. We talked about earlier the natural disaster going on in the Seattle area today, right? Well, West US 2 might be down, right, because of that incident. I think we're fine, but it's safe to say that if there was an incident like that that took out an Azure region, you could recover to another region. With this add-on, we allow you to spin up that backup into another region, and then after the incident's resolved, you have a full week until you need to migrate back over to the other machine. So if you've made any changes or anything you need to migrate over, happens seamlessly. So in this case, you can see in this dashboard that I've got 12 users all set up with this cross-region DR, and I'm going to click on one of these machines here. This is my GPU SKU. I'm going to give you a demo of this in just a second. And you can see right from here, I have access to those restore points. And here you can see I've got 14 different restore points that have been taken every 4 hours, and then there's the weekly backups. Well, now this is great that me as an IT admin, I can go set this up. But I also can programmatically give specific users, either the entire company or groups of users, access to do these types of actions on their own. So if I go over under user settings, let me expand this out just a little bit, you can see I've created a couple different policies here. One policy says, for all users that I want to give the ability to do their own restore, reset, restart actions, I can assign an AAD group to that policy. And then I have another one here where I've assigned a policy where I want to give users cross-region DR. Let me show you how that plays out. So I'm going to switch real quick over to the Windows web app. And here you can see my GPU SKU, my other cloud PCs, and even some AVD resources. Under the ellipsis here are the user actions. And you can see for me, I've given myself privileges to take all those actions. This is allowing users to self-remediate problems. These are the kind of things that users can fix on their own without ever calling you, so you can sit here and learn about this technology. Okay, let me switch back real quick, and I want to talk about one more thing, and then we'll get into some more specific demos. I'm going to go down and show you conditional access policies. I mentioned about this great security footprint that we've created with Windows 365 and AVD. We share a lot of common capabilities on that security front between these two products. First and foremost is my conditional access policies. So again, I've created 3 unique policies here. The first policy says for AVD and Windows 365, users that are using their own personal devices, using the Windows app, which now is enlightened to support mobile application management, require that those devices meet my certain level of requirements. So I'm able to interrogate the capabilities of that device, make sure that it's running the latest version of the OS, that they got a secure password, and a whole bunch of other conditions. I also have policies inside of here that say when I'm connecting up one of those devices, don't allow copy paste or local file access. I wouldn't want somebody to be able to move my corporate data to their personal device. The second policy says force passkey. I don't want people to use password. I want to use this phish-resistant, breach-resistant password that we enable with passkey. And then the third one is saying, hey, if you ever are connecting up to this environment outside of this network that I've predefined, make sure you turn on two-factor auth. Let's see how this plays out. Let me switch inputs here real quick to my personal iPad. Showing up yet? Let's try that one more time. Okay, there it is, good. All right, so here's the Windows app running on my iPad. And you can see here, there's that same cloud PC. If I hold my finger down on this button, there's all those restore options and everything here. Let's go ahead and log in and see how this MAM policy plays out. So first off, I've got the Authenticator app loaded locally here. And it's going to force that policy. It says use passkey authentication. I'll click next. And I'm going to sign in with my passkey, and it's actually going to use my Face ID to authenticate, and boom, I'm in. So no point in time have you seen me type a password anywhere at any time. And I also want you to note how quickly did you see that connection to my cloud PC, right? Super fast connection speed. Yes, thank you. Isn't that awesome? That's sub 10-second connection times, guys. All right, now while I'm in here, I want to show you, this really exciting 3D turbine I've been designing here, getting ready to 3D print that. I'm going to bring up File Explorer here and show you what you don't see is access to the My Documents folder. Again, because this device is my personal device, I intentionally created a policy that blocked the ability to do copy paste or moving files back and forth. But I also brought with me my Intune enrolled Windows laptop. And here I'm going to go ahead and launch the same app, the Windows app. And in this case, because this is an Intune enrolled device and a managed device, I have access to that. So let's go ahead and do the same thing here. Let's connect up to my cloud PC. And it'll obviously disconnect that session over here and launch that same connection on this device. And one of the things that I really love about a cloud PC experience, talking about that end user experience, it's exactly where I left it. That's another thing. It seems like a minor thing, but imagine every employee, every time they walk away from their machine with a traditional VDI type of environment, when they come back, they have to log back in on a fresh desktop. They lose all the context of what they're doing. They have to start back over and get in the mode of what they were doing. You might have noticed also one thing that popped up here. Did you notice that in the File Explorer? So same session, but now it detected I'm connecting up from a secure device, and look at that, I have access to my local file system. Now, one more thing, and then I'm excited to bring up some of the customers that have actually deployed this technology and hear from their firsthand. There's one more thing I want to show off here. I'm going to just take my cursor up to the top of the bar here, and you see what we call our B bar here that gives me insights into my actual session. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to go see details here in my session, and I want to point out that I'm actually running a brand new encoding technology here. I'm running our new HEVC encoding technology, high efficiency video codec, and I can stream now 4K 60 hertz. And I'm doing it on my iPad and on this device using the GPU to do the encoding, freeing up all those resources of the CPU I can use for doing my general workloads. And I actually lied. I had one other thing I wanted to show before we close this section out here. I talk about that self-remediation. I talk about the ability for users to solve their own problems. We're at the beginning of the journey of exposing all these rich capabilities to end users to allow them to self-remediate problems. One of the favorite features I had around Windows 365 is this little inspect connection tool in here. So if users are having a problem connected to the service, before they call you, they can run this utility, and it'll tell them everything about their network. It'll tell them if it's got the right bandwidth, if the Wi-Fi signal is strong enough, if they need to reboot their router, the kind of things that make the most troublesome support calls. If you ever tried to walk somebody through that, walk over to your router. What's a router? It's a nightmare. Give those users that power to self-remediate these problems. But we're not done. We're now starting to link together the client experience and the back-end service, and we'll even tell the end user whether there's anything going on with the service. This will be coming soon into the Windows app. This is a preview release here of our health checks, but it tells me everything I need to know about the service and whether things up and running. And you as an IT admin, we gave you another cool tool. Click on Open Log, and pops up a notepad with all the details about their session. They can send that to you, and makes it so much easier for you to troubleshoot and remediate these problems. So with that, thank you. I'd like to just play one quick short video while we bring up our panelists, and we'll do a little Q&A.
Microsoft and HP has a really deep history and past, and what that has enabled us to build is this shared empathy and understanding of our customers. HP Anywhere and Windows 365 is an extension of our deep partnership with Microsoft. It's a secure integration that is easy to provision, easy for IT managers to manage, and easy for them to control access to. The main benefits are it modernizes the end user experience, and then it enhances security because the control rests with the IT DM.
We currently have 9,000 contractors and employees on it. And again, we're looking for getting them productive, working as quickly as we can. And we brought those 9,000, all of that provisioning was under 1 hour.
Using Windows 365, from an IT management perspective, it's the same crew, it's the same team. They're familiar with the Intune console. They know how to push policy. They know how to fire up and fire down extra CPUs. So really easy for us to run. From an end user perspective, for the contractors, they don't have to buy new PCs for every contract. They can bring in the equipment they know and love, and we save money on extra equipment. We know it's all in a world-class environment that nobody's going to get into easily or walk away with the data easily. So for us, it gives a lot of peace of mind.
Now with Windows 365, we have one integrated solution that leads to security, that leads to cost efficiency, that leads to much better employee productivity and employee experience.
The market is changing. There's AI, there's enhanced privacy, and our partner Microsoft also has made great leaps and bounds in that area, and that means that our roadmap to serve our shared partnership will evolve to solve those problems for customers as well.
Almost.
Nice job.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here, including our wonderful HP partner and customer as well. So why don't we get started by each of you introducing yourself, where you're from, and your main role and responsibility. Why don't we start with you, Jeff?
Sure. Jeff Mendelsohn, director in our end-user computing organization of Johnson & Johnson, primarily focused on our virtual application, virtual desktop, application management, endpoint management, as well as some of our process automation and our end-user experience automation.
Leo?
Hi, I'm Leo Brito. I'm with Wells Fargo. Our team is responsible for all workplace technologies, so all the things that Jeff just said.
Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, I'm Ted Koziel. I work for HP. I run our employee experience and innovation team. And part of that team, we run our HP on HP program, which is bringing new innovation, new products, things we do with our partners and our services team, like with Microsoft here.
Awesome. Well, I've had the chance to work with many of you on this. In fact, Jeff and our relationship goes back many, many years when Jeff was actually one of our very first customers on Azure Virtual Desktop. Jeff, I'd like you to start off and tell us a little bit about what your experience has been rolling out Windows 365 and Intune within your organization.
Sure. To start to kind of give some scope, so we have around 140,000 physical PCs, out of which about 41% are currently modern managed on Windows 11 and Intune. We have about 40,000 virtual desktop cloud PCs, of which 100% are Windows 11 and modern managed. That migration was a very positive migration. We continue to march forward to Windows 11 and be modern managed, ideally by October of 2025. So just to set some context. Yeah, that's pretty much.
So I know you came off another virtualization solution in the past, and I think there was some statistic that you and your team have been tracking in terms of support tickets and things like that. What does that look like in the early times when you first onboarding employees, and what's that look like now that you've been running this for a bit longer?
Sure, yeah. So essentially when we first started the journey, we saw an 86% reduction in first-time setup issues. So when somebody really got to, because another metric we track is our use case primarily includes our contractors. So it's a high turnover workforce. So we have about 3,000 a month that turn over. So we have about 3,000 new users every month. And so that 86% reduction in first-time setup was a real big win for us. Overall, we run about 20% lower incidents from our previous solution as well. And despite our use case being, kind of a BYOD from all over the world over various type of network connectivity scenarios, we still run about a 2% lower incident rate compared to physical. So
wow.
Overall, it's a very optimized experience for people.
Leo, I know you guys, obviously looking at a very large Windows 365 rollout, and I'm sure you spent a lot of time looking at various solutions before you decided on that. What were some of the factors that you considered before deciding on Windows 365?
So the first thing for us is user experience. I'm so sad that you put it at the end, but is trying to replicate the opening the box experience that you have as a private user. And we also wanted to eliminate all paper cuts. It's like, I don't know how to log in. What do I need to put a password? What year are you guys taking me back to? There was also operational efficiencies about, configuration centers. Why do we need to still have, all depots of computers and people building computers in place, rebuilding computers in place, right? So if we have about 200,000 endpoints on desks right now for access for Windows 365. We're going to rebuild those in place, right? That saves a ton of time. Something that could take 18 months can probably take 9 months to do. So there's all those factors in terms of user experience is key, and then operational efficiencies.
Great. And one last question, then I'll turn over to Melissa. For you, Tad, being that you are responsible for employee experiences at HP, and being a company that manufactures laptops, how has this transition been for your employees to get their Windows experience delivered from the cloud?
It's actually been great. Well, we've been using this for mainly for our contract employees, and what we found was we were spending a lot of IT resources just churn with PCs. A lot of people in this room probably do this: bring them back, wipe them, re-image them, send them back out. So for us, actually, it was a very welcome relief. We weren't running all over the world, different countries, distributing PCs all the time. So huge efficiency gain, and we always like gains for the bottom line, Scott.
Oh, we talked about that earlier, didn't we? Yeah. Turn you into a profit center for the organization.
Yeah, great.
Well, as you noticed earlier, we have a room full of IT professionals here and people who support IT in their organizations. So talk a little bit, if you would, about how you see the role of IT changing over the next couple of years, and maybe what are some of the goals you have for your organizations? And Leo, why don't we start with you this time?
Oh boy, I was hoping to go second. So listen, we want to contribute to the bottom line of the company. When you are in workplace technologies, you're the face of technology. So all my peers really don't like me when they get a lot of calls. So make technology ubiquitous, intuitive. Start with that. On our industry in particular, our employee base should not be worrying about technology. It should be worried about transactions and helping our customers, which is most of the customers are your, everyday person that needs to get something done that is urgent to them.
Great.
So technology needs to get out of the way.
Love that. How about at HP?
Yeah, so I think I'd second that very same feeling. One of the things I've seen change a lot over the years is it used to be all about technology and getting it out, getting it deployed, get the next project. And now really looking at how that technology impacts a user, how many different applications they have to go through in a day, what's their log on, log off, what's their startup. And so we've gotten really serious about measuring employee time back. So over the last year, we've given 6% time back to every employee every month. And when you add that times 60, 70,000 people, it becomes a lot of time that they can use either return to their work or return to their family or something they enjoy, but they're not spending it, watching something happening on their screen. So
That's great.
second, the same feeling here.
That's wonderful. And Jeff, how about at Johnson & Johnson? What are your goals for IT moving forward?
Well, I mean, overall, Johnson & Johnson is committed to redefining healthcare, so our goals begin with that. And from an end-user services perspective, our primary focus is, to enable new ways of working and empower employees to do more with technology. And that kind of drives what we prioritize and focus on from there.
So, Scott, you really should have put employee experience in that upper left.
I know it. Should have put that on the first
slide,
one.
people. We're changing this.
That is a real change of mindset, though. It really is, and I think when COVID hit and, we were trying to respond to that and employees were sent home, that really became a highlight, just how important that was, because how much did that productivity really matter when people were at home, right? If you provided the right technologies and access to corporate resources and everything, many organizations hardly saw a blip, but those organizations that weren't prepared for that, hadn't thought about employee experiences both in the office and on remote, really suffered. Fortunately, there was a lot of great technology at their disposal. Azure Virtual Desktop was in market. And just coincidentally, the team that built Cloud PC, we formed that team right during this time of COVID. We literally were living that experience. And I tell you what, it really helped shape the product. It really had us focus on those end user experiences. But let's pivot back to security for a minute. Maybe I'll start with you again, Jeff. When you think about security, what are some of the things that first and foremost are important for Johnson & Johnson? Being a pharmaceutical corporation and things like that, I imagine there's certain compliance requirements and things you have to adhere to. And I think even around those contractors, you have some very unique requirements around those contractor cloud PCs too, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, the contractors that we give cloud PCs to, we primarily have on bring your own device scenario. That gives us a significant savings. It also improves our security. So instead of having contractors all over the world have physical PCs with localized data, it's all within our control in the data center. So yeah, I mean, this definitely enhances our cybersecurity posture by having folks on Cloud PC. And that has always been one of our primary use cases. If you're working with intellectual property or copyright or just proprietary information, this is our most secure means of enabling you to connect to resources.
You even have a retention policy for those images of your contractors too, don't you?
Yes, I mean, we're highly regulated, of course, as I'm sure many businesses are, but we have to, there's a lot of automation around this because it's in cloud, and one of the things that Scott's calling out is when somebody leaves, we back up and archive that for future, any reason from a legal or retention or investigative activity. So it's much easier on Cloud PC than in physical, of course, where we have to pull hard drives and go through a process.
We have a feature of Windows 365 we don't often talk about, but it's really critical, especially to organizations like Johnson & Johnson, we call eDiscovery, that lets you take a snapshot of your Cloud PC image and you can archive it. In this case, it's for potential future forensics that they need to operate on. Leo, same question.
For us, is the base layer on your presentation, zero trust. So you treat our customers as zero trust. We treat you as zero trust. That is the baseline of everything that we want to do in security. Also, the ability to control every single facet of that device. And we're treating, there's something else that you said that it was interesting about having one image that works on your physical laptop and your virtual laptop. For us, that way we have the same security measures for both devices. Is very critical. We have the same requirements in terms of regulatory retention and all that, so that's very, very helpful. We add other of your friends to the layers of security, so we have also CrowdStrike and other tools that are complementary for the environment to be super secure.
That's great. And Tad?
Yeah, so not a lot to add to these guys. I would just mimic it, but the one thing, we're also finding new use cases every day. So the most recent one, we found it's a great tool for our traveling executives. They can leave all their sensitive data at home. It's all on their cloud PC. We issue them, kind of a burner PC, if you will. And we know if anything happens to that PC, all the information is safe in our tenant, and it really reduces a lot of stress on the team.
Great. Well, I think we're at time. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your partnership, your business, and for you to come to Ignite here in Chicago with us today. Thank you all for joining us as well. Please note, in this room, right after this, there's going to be a session on the new Windows 365 link, how it works, how you can use it within your organization, so please stick around. Also, we'd welcome you to come up and say hello, ask us any questions, and we have some great Windows retro t-shirt, generational t-shirts, if you will, and we thank you so much for your time and for joining us at Ignite.